NCEES beginning of the year and teachers for teachers and staff 23-24. And hopefully we'll be finished by 5 o'clock. And so my name is Donna Curry. I'm the Digital Subscription Technology Analyst with DPI, and I'm currently the Product Manager for ESCO Britannica, but I've been cross-training with Cammie for a few months now. And Cammie and then Jennifer, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Cammie Nairn. I'm your NCEES Education Product Consultant, or otherwise known as NCEES Product Manager, and I can answer anything system-wise as far as NCEES. So welcome today, and I'll turn this over to Jennifer to introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jennifer Bass, and I am the NCEES consultant. So I will be available to answer anything that is policy related to NCEES.
So for our agenda today, we are going to be talking about accessing the system. We're going to review the teacher evaluation process. We're going to talk about starting an evaluation plan, review trainings and orientation steps. We're going to review the PDP and begin the plan, talk about how you can do your self-assessment. We're going to review the observation activities, talk about professional development in your courses, and then we're going to share some resources with you. So let's talk about how we access NCEES. So in order to access NCEES, you do have to access their NC EdCloud. To get to, just go to my.ncedcloud.org. The first time you log in, you will have to claim your account. So if you've not done that, you will need to do that first. To enter, you're going to use your UID number, which is, Cammie, is that a 10-digit number?
Yes.
10-digit number, and then you're going to enter your password, and then you'll click go. If you have trouble navigating this system, you should have an NC EdCloud administrator in your district that can help you with that. Once you do get into NC EdCloud, you're just going to enter your password or name, enter your password, and then you're going to look for this blue P icon, which says NCEES Unified Talent, and then you're going to look for that. This is in alphabetical order, so just go scroll down until you're in the end, and you will see that on that dashboard. Once you get into NCEES, you're going to see that you do have a landing page, and then when you're on this page, there's just some things you might want to take into consideration. On the home page, there's going to be information that's going to be relevant to you based on this time of year. So now we have information about starting plan. Webinar is going to be shared. When you're in there, you're going to look on the My Evaluation tab, so you can do your evaluation and start your PDP. And then make sure you check out help guides, because those help guides are going to help you. And then in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to make sure you see your initials to make sure you are logged in. If there's any messages that have been shared, you'll see them in the envelope. You can also click on the calendar. The vendor also has guides for how to use NCEES, but they are not specific to North Carolina. So I would recommend always going to the home page or the help guides to get you started. Like I said, the help guides, there are help guides for every plan type. So you have the comprehensive, standard, abbreviated. You're going to see there's plans for you to follow, and then there's plans for your evaluator to follow. So it's like a I do, you do, I do, you do. And so it's going to tell you exactly what parts you do and exactly what parts your administrator does. It has graphics, it has arrows to help guide you along. The first time you do look at your plans, they may be a little overwhelming, but looking at those guides will truly help you get through those. Once you get in, like I said, those help guides. So you have the comprehensive guides, the peer evaluator guides, but just about every type of guide that you can think about is available. And then if you need additional resources at the bottom, you'll see that there is a NCEES site that has access to teacher resources. So if you click on that site from the slide, you are going to see that there is a tab specific to teachers. I'm going to go, it was automatically on the teacher evaluation process. If you were to ever start on the home screen, you will see that you have the teacher icon that you can click on. Jennifer can talk more about the policy part later, but all the resources that you will need, you will find right here on this page to all that policy. So please check out that site later. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer.
Yeah, if you want to access the evaluation manuals, as Donna just said, you would go to our NCEES site, and you can go to the teachers or the support staff to get all of the manuals, the policies, all of the resources that we're showing you are there. So this is where you would go. Very easy to access. Please take advantage of it. Now, to begin, we want all teachers to understand that the NCDPI stands firmly that the educator evaluation is about growth and improvement in teacher practice. Too often, we find that the evaluation process is viewed by teachers as a gotcha, or they think it's a way to get rid of a teacher, and that is not true. And it was not the purpose of how this system was designed itself. The teacher evaluation policy states that the intended purpose of the North Carolina teacher evaluation process is to assess the teacher's performance in relation to the North Carolina professional teaching standards and to design a plan for professional growth. So it's all about growth and improvement. So we would like you to further understand the observations themselves. Consider that this is a year-long evaluation process and it's a series of formative assessments through the observations. During the observations, the principal is collecting data and using the rubric to check off what is seen. There's a misconception that teachers are evaluated and rated numerous times during the school year, and that has taken away from our focus of growth. And what we want everyone to understand, you're only evaluated one time at the end of the school year. That's when the ratings are all assigned to you for each standard, and that's only at the end. So we're only evaluated once, but we're observed 2, 3, or 4 times, depending on what plan we're on. This is a page that everyone should pull out, look at, take advantage of it. This is the cycle of the evaluation process, and it goes through it step by step for you. The link here will take you directly to the evaluation process, so you can look at it and read it closely, but we're going to go through it slowly today and just talk about it. If you have questions, put it in the chat and we'll try and stop and answer those as we go through. So this is totally based on the policy for Eval 004. This is what our teacher evaluation policy is based on. You can find this in the manual on page 21. So if you can't find it one place, this is where you can find it, is in the manual itself. It is there for you. So we start off our year with the orientation. There is a section on our NCEES site that has beginning of the year orientation information and resources. You can go there and look at what's there. Everything that you would need. This is mainly used by the principals to do the orientation for their teachers, but it is there on our site if you would like to go look at it. Excuse me. So let's talk just a second about the beginning of the year orientation. Prior to the orientation, this should happen within the first 2 weeks of school, or when you are hired, 2 weeks of when you're hired. The principals should send out a reminder email at the beginning of the year regarding that meeting and provide a link to the NCEES Google site where the teachers can find all the evaluation information and where all the resources that they need are housed. The staff should probably have a face-to-face or a virtual meeting so that they can ask questions and get clarification regarding NCEES and how they're going to be evaluated for the year. We also recommend that all staff view the North Carolina Teacher Orientation recorded webinar that we have on our site together, because our policy states that teachers must receive the rubric for evaluating North Carolina teachers. They must be shown or given the policy Eval 004, and they need a schedule for how the evaluation components are going to be completed in that evaluation schedule. That schedule will be different from district to district based on what your school calendar looks like. But you should have a window of when observation 1 will happen, observation 2, observation 3, and when the summatives will happen.
Okay, I think this is my slide.
It
The
is.
principal will communicate when everything is due. NCDPI is asking that all the plans be completed by June 27th. That is a Thursday, June 27th, 2024, by the close of that business day. This is so DPI can use that Friday, June 28th, to review everything in the system, make sure everything looks good, run DPI's reports as well. Your plan will show complete when the following steps in that graphic are completed. For the comprehensive, that's going to be observation 1, 2, and 3 and the peer. So if you are like a career teacher on a comprehensive plan because you're new to the district, do know you can't close out that plan until they do that peer observation on you. The standard plan requires observations 1, 2, and 3. Abbreviated observations 1 and 2, and then late hire can be added after 200 days of school. I think there is a rule out there on that site we shared with you that your admins can know when to start giving people a late hire plan. It has to have at least one observation completed, but they can assign out more. It's not just one. They can use more if there's time to do another observation.
And just note with the late hire, if you are BT, if you're hired on as a late hire, this year would not count for you.
Yes.
We've had a lot of questions about that. You have to be employed the full 3 years to satisfy the BT requirements. So now we're just going to go through this, the components with you of the teacher evaluation process. The component 1 is training itself. So we are required that every teacher is given training on the NCEES system, how they're going to be evaluated. And that's what you're doing now, and your district probably is offering some training also. And then component 2, we just talked about, which is the orientation. Any teacher within the first 2 weeks of their first day, the principal has to provide the rubric, the policy for evaluation, and a schedule for completing that evaluation process. So that's going to be handled by your principal, to the teachers.
Okay, we're going to talk now about the beginning of the year evaluation plan in the online tool. So once you are in NCEES, remember you went to NCEES Cloud and then you clicked on the blue P for Unified Talent. Once you are here, you'll click on My Evaluation and then you will click on Current Evaluation. Your administrator should have already signed a plan to you and a PDP type to you. And you will see both of these here, and each one has its own container. So you'll see the comprehensive or standard or whatever plan you happen to be assigned. And then you'll also notice that you have your PDP. If you've been in the district before, you can see that you would have archived evaluations from previous years, or even if you have plans that started but didn't get finished or deactivated, you will find those here as well. From this screen, once you click on your evaluation, you can see that in that envelope at the top that I shared on that home screen, if there's anything that has been sent out to you or to like the whole state or anything like that, you'll see that in your announcements. So please check there as important messages can be shared out. You also get emailed when certain parts of your plan have been done, letting you know that you might need to sign off on something or make a plan or something like that. So you will see that there are messages that come in those announcements. So click that by the envelope in the upper right-hand corner close to your initials. Once you are in your evaluation, you are going to see that you have help guides on that page to help you get started. Please pay attention to those help guides. I've already shown you that you have the help guides on the screen for each plan type, but this is going to help you start your plan. It's going to show you how to complete that PDP self-assessment. It's also going to show you what you need to do in relation to those trainings. So once you are on the My Evaluation page, look to the right and you will see that these icons are there. As you are progressing through the plan, you're going to see that you have, oh, I'm sure I didn't go too far. You're going to see these different color icons. We call these like the flowers. It almost looks like a flower, but if it is gray, it is not started out. If it is 3/4 blue, that means that it is in progress and you have started. The orange with the check means it's complete. Maybe you finished everything, but you haven't finalized or you haven't marked it complete, but you're almost done. But our goal is to make sure we get to those green checks. We want that green circle with that green check. As you are going through, if you are missing that green check and you think you should have it, look to make sure that everything that has that asterisk is required has been completed. If you can't click on something, click on the I. The I will let you know why you can't click on that. Maybe the step prior to that hasn't been done. Maybe something hasn't been completed. But if you click on the I, it will give you information. And then you are looking for that lock. So once something is done, that plan can be locked for you, so to allow you to move on. So let's learn how to start that evaluation and that PDP plan. So when you you'll see here that there is that guide. We've already shown you where this guide was. Do you have questions, Cami? Do you want to add something?
No, I'm sorry. That's my puppy. He wants to go out, so he's going to have to wait.
Okay, you are fine. I saw your name flash up. So when you're in My Evaluation, remember I shown you that each of those has its own container. So you're going to click on the My Evaluation tab. You're going to click on that container that has your specific plan type, and then you're going to click Start Plan. Remember that there are certain things that have to be done within the first 10 days of school, so we are in that time to get started with that. But you're going to need to start that plan. Once the evaluation has been started, then you can click on the actual name of that plan type to go. So you'll see that it does turn blue. You can see that little arrow pointing there. So you're going to need to start with that training orientation. So once you have clicked on that tab and you've gotten there, you're going to look for that training orientation that does need to be done within those first 10 days. And I think I've already mentioned this, but just once you start your plan, you will see that you do have access to those archive plans and deactivated plans that are there as well. So once you start that plan, let's see, after clicking Start New, that container, like I said, does show that name. And let's see, I think I mentioned that a minute ago too. Got ahead of myself.
So Donna, that previous slide,
Uh-huh.
if you go back 2 slides.
2 slides.
If you know you've started your plan and you would see a link with the plan title on it to click on next time. But if you come back in here and see another Start Plan button, something's wrong. Tell your principal so that they can report it. Your previously started plan is probably under deactivated evaluations, and there's a number of reasons why a plan might mistakenly get deactivated, and we at DPI can restore it if possible. As long as it's connected to you in your district, we could probably restore it. So don't start another plan if you know you had already started one. Tell your principal, and they can contact the NCEES lead to put in a ticket to DPI, and we'll look at that and verify and restore your already started plan if possible.
Thank you, Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are getting ready to start to complete that time of training, you're going to make sure that you have the correct school. I'm trying to remember on the screen. So starting new, make sure that it does show your correct school assignment. You're going to see that when you get started. And for some reason you do see the wrong school here, you do need to reach out to maybe the district you're in now or your previous district, because they are still marking you active in their district or active in a previous school, and you will need to be removed. So make sure you, if it is a current school that you are currently working at. Once you do get started on your plan, you're going to see that you have a container that does say training and orientation. That does have one activity in it. So you'll see that it does label that for you. Once you click that one activity, you're going to see that it does open up the training and orientation container, and you'll click on the words in blue. Once you open those words in blue, you're going to I have received training on, and that was whatever day your school has given you training. You're going to put that date, once again verifying that the school that you are employed at is the school that is listed here. If not, please reach out to your site or district administrator to help you with that. After you put that date, verified your school, you can save and exit, and then you're going to want to mark complete. If you come out and you only see that orange check, that means that you have completed the date, but you forgot to mark complete. So you're looking for those mark completes, and here sometimes you'll see finalize, but right here we are looking for that mark complete because we are always looking for those green checks while we are in NCEES. So make sure you do that. So as we are completing the first steps in the evaluation and PD process, remember you have to have that training and orientation that is done at your school. You're going to complete that activity, whether they have you watch videos or you do it all together. You're going to need, oh, excuse me, didn't mean to click back. It is sensitive, Cammie. You're going to want to click on that PDP, your self-assessment. You're going to want to complete and finalize that. It won't lock, so at any time, if you need to go back and reassess yourself at a later time, you can. But in order to get that green check, you will have to click finalize. So you're going to want to make sure you click finalize so you can access the next activity. You can choose whether or not to share that PDP with your administrator, but that is not something that you have to do. You can choose to share or not. And once again, these are those help guides to help you get started with that plan. So this next document just kind of lets you know who needs to do what as you're going through your plan. Your principal will start at that observation cycle. So your principal or your evaluator is going to start that pre-observation conference. And then after they start that, you are going to acknowledge that you had a pre-observation. Then step number 3, you would have that formal evaluation. Your principal would do that. And your principal would also do the post-observation conference. After your principal meets with you, then step 5 is for you to go in to acknowledge that you have seen that. Acknowledgement does not mean you agree. It just means the information was shared with you. If at any time you want to add written responses, you can do that. But you can do your written responses if you want to respond to anything that happened at that conference. Then after all this is done, your principal is going to acknowledge if you did a written response, and then your principal or evaluator is going to lock that activity. So it's kind of a flow chart to let you know like what happens at what step. Once you are in the observation 1 activity, I've shown you who does what parts. It also says it here, like the evaluator does start the pre-observation conference. This is for you to acknowledge that. So you can see who does what part. The principal does do the formal observations, then they acknowledge, then you acknowledge. If for any reason you can't move forward and you can't go to something, click on that I. It's going to let you know why you can't move forward if there's any information here. So this activity is unavailable until the following activities are completed. So I couldn't do this step until that step above was done. You will see that there's an envelope on this page. And so if you have questions, you can email directly from this page, and anyone who has access to your plan will get this message. But this will open up a box so you can immediately email anyone if you have questions. Okay, Cam, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. I don't see any other questions coming in. You guys can use the chat to put in any questions. We're going to talk about the teacher professional development plans. So here are your guides for the teacher PDPs. There is a guide for the teacher and staff. And then there's a guide for your evaluator on that PDP. And finally, there's also a guide for mentors. Mentors have to review the initial reviews, the mid-year reviews, end-of-year reviews, and do their mentor duties, and then sign off on that in the plan. So that is their guide. Next slide. Okay, turn it over to Jennifer.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to go over policy side of what these components are that the ladies were just talking about. Component 3 is the teacher self-assessment. So you use the rubric. The teachers will use the rubric that they're evaluated with all year, and they're going to rate their performance. They're reflecting on how they feel they would perform on that rubric throughout the year. You, as Donna said, you can choose to share that with your principal or not, but we do encourage you to share that because that will help guide those pre and post conferences and helping to develop your PDP. And then component 4 is the pre-observation conference. So to prepare, this whole goal of this pre-observation conference is to prepare the principal for the observations. You want to make sure that they know what they're going to be seeing, any dynamics of students or classroom management, anything that's going on in your room. It is your opportunity to share that with them and prepare them for what they're going to see and what they're going to observe when they're in your classroom that day. During this pre-observation conference, which is required for the first observation, you will be talking about your self-assessment with your principal. You'll also be talking about your professional growth plan and your goals for the year, or if there are any school goals that they would like you to include on your PDP. And you might be sharing a written description of the lesson that you're going to actually be teaching. So this is going to be totally driven by you, the teacher, because it is your opportunity to get the principal ready to come into your room and let them know exactly what they're going to be seeing and how you plan that. Now, there are then going into our professional development plans, there are 3 different types of plans. So the individual, the monitored, and the directed. Development plans are the roadmap for teacher growth. This is where you set your goals for the year. They can include those individual goals. They could have school goals or district goals included in them. And you should always try to align them with your school improvement plan, because that will make just conversations in PLCs and staff meetings go a lot smoother, because everybody's working towards the same goals. And you are going to include your teacher effectiveness data, thinking about how did you perform and how is that going to be reflected in your goals and your PDP for the year. So now we can talk a little bit about these professional growth plans. There are the 3 different kinds: individual, monitored, and directed. And I want you to understand what they actually mean and who gets assigned what kind of plan. The individual plan is given to all new teachers and teachers who are rated proficient on their teacher summary rating form. In this plan, the teacher sets their individual goals, and they'll just discuss those with their administrator when they have their post conferences. A teacher would be placed on a monitored PDP if they had rated developing on 1 or more standard on that summary rating form. And in this plan, the teacher and the administrator together would create the goals, because they're being mentored and helped by the principal to grow and improve. Those teachers who are placed on a directed PDP would be because they rated not demonstrated on any standard, or they were developing on 1 or more standard for 2 or more sequential years. In this type of plan, the administrator will set the goals for the teacher based on their observation, all their documentation, and the data that they have. And this one would be monitored also very closely by the principal and the teacher to ensure that the teacher is showing growth throughout the year. And this is our professional development plan is based on the standards. As you all know, there are 5 standards. They're based on standard 1 is all about leadership. Standard 2 is all about equity. Standard 3 is all about content. Standard 4 is about instruction. And standard 5 is reflection. If you want some more detailed diving deep on understanding the teacher rubric itself, there is a wonderful recording out there that we have linked along with the presentation slides by Dr. Robert Sachs. He was our guru in NCEES. So this is a great thing to use in a PLC, or to just go and listen to yourself to get a better understanding. So the professional development plan is just a preparation for your goal setting. If you're a returning teacher, you're going to be looking at last year's summary and your self-assessment to determine your goals. If you're a brand new teacher, you might be sitting down with your mentor and getting some advice, maybe using your self-assessment and some of your school-wide goals to set your goals, and look at some of the language in the rubric itself and pick the standards where you think you have the most area or need for growth and development, and build your goals from that point.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about how do you navigate that PDP once you get in there. So she's telling you why it's important. Let's learn how. So in order to start your PDP, remember there's the PDP is a self-assessment guide, making sure you have the correct standards rubric. and you're going to make sure once you're in here, here is a guide. Remember, all of these guides are listed on the help guide page as well. But let's learn how to start that. So once you click on the My Evaluation tab, you're going to make sure that you're looking at the current evaluation number 2, and then we're looking number 1, excuse me, current evaluation. Then you're going to go to the Professional Development Plan container. The first time you are going to click Start Your Plan. Once you start your plan, you're going to verify that the standards are correct for your role. So if for some reason you have the wrong standards here, media coordinators, ITFs, school counselors, they all have different goals than teachers. So making sure that these are the standards that you should be evaluated on, making sure that it does match. And once you verify that it does match, you are going to start your plan. If you do have the wrong rubric, you're going to, or if you have
Want me to talk about this?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes. So if you saw the wrong rubric, if you're a counselor listening here today, and it said teacher standards on that previous screen, if you go back one screen, you will go ahead and start new. But first, before you do that, ask your principal to check the My Staff page. Make sure they need to make sure your plan type and PDP type are set correctly and that they've processed overnight. So then you can come back here. If they say yes, come back here, click Start New. A menu will pop up. Don't do any of the tallies because this is the teacher's rubric. A menu will pop up and you can choose delete from that menu. The page will process a little bit, spin a little bit, and it will put your counselor rubric, ITF rubric, whatever you should be seeing in there. So the next slide gives you a video of what I just told you. And if you are an evaluator here today and you're looking at an observation rubric that's wrong, you can follow similar steps. Those are both linked in the recording on the right there to show you how to do both of those.
Thank you, Cammie.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So after you have done your self-assessment, you're going to go up to the top and click this down arrow. If you do not see the word finalize in this list, that means there is one section or one container that you did not check any box in. So you're going to need to go back and click continue, go look at each of those and see which one you may have skipped, and then you'll mark, check a box in that container. And then you can come back, and once you see the word finalize, that means you have checked something in each container. And then once you finalize, then that can you can move on. But if you don't see finalize, that means there's something that wasn't checked. After you have finalized that, remember that that is never locked. You can come back and change it again later. If you need to reevaluate yourself as you learn more, you're welcome to go back into that self-assessment. After that self-assessment is finished, then you can go to your PDP initial review. But you'll notice that the I is on this one. If you couldn't get there, the I would probably be here and say that you have to do the self-assessment first. It tells you why you can't move on. But now that this green check is here, you can move on to your next one. So the initial review form and your goals. So once you do click into your goals, you're going to fill out this information first. Put your subject area. That is required. Remember, anything with that asterisk is required. Then there's a spot for mentor name. That is not required. So if you do not have a mentor, just leave that blank. And if you have a mentor, you can put what their subject is. But once again, that is not required. So you can leave that blank as well. This is just reminding you again that you are using what type standards you have that you are being assessed on. Once you have filled out this, you're going to click Save and Exit, and then you're going to be able to start your goals. You'll see there's a box for your goal, for your activities and actions, for your expected outcomes, any resources that are needed, or any timelines. And you can do this. You can create a new goal for as many goals as you have to have. Sometimes your administrators might help you set your goals. They might tell you your team might have a certain goal, and then you have a personal goal, but just get advice from your administrator on that. Once you are finished, you click Save and Exit, and don't forget from that drop-down menu to mark complete. The only way to get that green check is for you to mark complete, so you can do that. Once again, this is like that flow chart of who needs to do what. So the first step here is the PDP. You're going to need to, you do your PDP details, and then your evaluator is going to sign off second. If you have a mentor, they will be the third step in this process. And then after your evaluator, your mentor have looked over, added any comments they felt were necessary, then you're going to sign off, and then that activity will be logged. So just understanding how that process works. If you are looking at the PDP help guide, it'll let you know exactly what your part is along the way to get this done. And I think I turn that back over to Jennifer.
Yes.
Okay, Jennifer. Oh, I skipped a page. That's why I clicked.
I'm sorry, I was muted.
Oh, it's okay.
And we've already done this slide. Can you go ahead? There was a slide stuck in there twice. Right
Okay.
there. There you go. Now we're going to talk about the observations process itself, policy-wise. If you look at step 3, this is about the observation cycle, including the administrative and the peer observation. And it includes the observation itself is when the principal or assistant principal comes into your classroom, observes the lesson, and is actually using the rubric and checking off what they see. That is an observation. But there are different kinds of observations. The formal observation is 45 minutes or an entire session or lesson. The informal observation must last at least 20 minutes. So there's 2 different kinds. A teacher who has been employed less than 3 years, that could be a BT or someone new to a district, you would be placed on a comprehensive evaluation cycle. That would include 3 formal observations by your principal or AP, and then 1 formal observation by a peer. So that's going to be 4 per year for those people who have been employed less than 3 years. A teacher who has been employed more than 3 years could be placed on either a standard or an abbreviated evaluation cycle. The standard would include 3 observations, and 1 of those must be formal. These would be career teachers who are probably up for in their renewal license year, and that way we always suggest that they're observed on all 5 standards, and this standard observation kind of it makes you have all 5. The abbreviated is for those career teachers who are not renewing, and that includes 2 observations on standards 1 and 4. And those can be a formal observation that takes 45 minutes, or it could be an informal observation that only takes 20. That's up to the principal themselves. And keep in mind that if you're renewing, you're probably going to be on the standard evaluation cycle. If you are a speech pathologist or any of those other support folks, you do not have the option of being on an abbreviated schedule. I get that question a lot. How come we don't have abbreviated? I've been there for 3 years. Only teachers have the option of being placed on an abbreviated cycle. Those other support people would be either standard or they would be comprehensive. And this is just a resource guide for you so that you can see what those cycles look like and what the requirements of each one would be. And this chart can be found on our website. So now let's look at component 6, which is the post-observation conference. The principal should conduct a post-observation conference no later than 10 school days after each formal observation is done. If it's more, feedback should be done as soon as possible. So we ask not to wait any later than 10 school days. If it's been more than 10 school days, probably they're going to have to come back and do another observation. So we do encourage them to do it before those 10 days are up. And the purpose of that post-observation conference is to discuss and document all the strengths and the needs that they saw on the rubric itself. So this is where they're going to actually talk to you about what they saw. Now, the post-observation conference is a crucial part of our evaluation process because, as I told you before, Educator evaluation is all about growth and improvement. It was designed to help you grow in your craft. So this meeting between the teacher and observer provides you an opportunity to strengthen that communication that hopefully will result in continuous improvement for the teacher's practice and the students' growth in your classroom. So during that post-observation conference, the principal and the teacher will discuss the document and everything on the rubric, talk about those strengths and weaknesses, and they're going to focus not on the ratings, but they're going to talk about the actions that they see. Now we're going to look at that on the next slide. Now, when you have this conversation with your principal, we ask that you look and use the language of the rubric. Think about the descriptors that you're looking at the language that you see. So you would look at the first column. Everything in the first column deals with knowledge. Do you know it? Do you know your standards? Do you know your kids? The second column is all focused on action items. Do you show it? Can I see those things happening in your classroom? Would be the accomplished, the interaction. Is it visible in your classroom? I can see that you know your standards. I know you know what to do, but am I seeing that happen in your classroom? And the last column is all focused on extension. Do you share it outside of your classroom? And that could totally be, are you sharing it with your classmates? I mean, your teammates on your hall? Are you sharing it at a PLC? Are you even sharing some strategies that have been helpful to you with your parents to use with their students at home? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be presenting at a conference statewide. It just means, are you sharing your good practices with others? So those, as we're talking throughout the year in our observations, we're never going to talk about developing proficient, accomplished, and distinguished, because we're not rating until the end of the year. So I'll turn it back over to you guys.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to talk about, now that you know what's going to be looked for, how do you navigate that evaluation and observation? Once you are in, my evaluations and you are in that first observation, you open up your plan. You're going to go to the observation 1 container. You're going to look at anything that has that asterisk is required. So you're doing the pre-observation conference. Remember, the evaluator is going to do that. And then as soon as this is done, it's going to allow you to progress to the next steps. So after you have gone through the conference with your evaluator, and then you acknowledge that, so you're going to click on the pre-observation conference teacher acknowledgement container, and then after you click on this container, you're going to go all the way to the bottom. You can read any notes or see any artifacts that have been uploaded. You're going to acknowledge that. Once you acknowledge, that's going to get you that green check. If you have any concerns or questions on that screen, you will see that at the bottom, that written response is in blue, which means that you can click on that. So if at any time you have written responses, you can add those. At any time you can do that. So just making sure you add anything, upload any attachments that you have, and then making sure you mark complete so that it does finish out. Cammie?
Okay. So we're going to talk about, when you are in your observation, what that little tiny light bulb might be for. Some of you may not see it. Some of you may see it. When DPI creates courses, they can tag those courses to different standards in NCEES. So this standard 1 has been tagged to a course because I see a little light bulb here. So maybe standard 1, teachers demonstrate leadership, was one of your goals, and you want to take a course to submit to your principal, your evaluator, that, hey, I'm doing this to meet my goal. I'm taking this course. So you can click on that light bulb. There's the help guide for the light bulb. And then let's go to the next slide. I think it shows the steps. Yes. So when you click on the light bulb, it's going to open up a list of courses that have been aligned to standard 1 in this example. And so you would actually just come over here. All you need to do as a teacher or staff is to come all the way to the right. If you have a course you can click on the title to read more about it. But then you can come back here and just register for that course. It may take you through a couple steps. Just complete the steps, and then you will have that course on your My Courses tab. and you can start taking that course. The other things on this screenshot is for your evaluator to recommend a course to you. But if you're coming in here as a staff or a teacher, you see a course you want to take, just come to the right and click register. All right, we're going to take a quick look at professional development. We have about 10 minutes, 10, 11 minutes left today. So we'll go through this a little quickly. So to find courses, we do have professional development available in NCEES. DPI does publish courses in here in the course catalog, which is under professional development. If your district is creating local courses in their PD office in NCEES, you can also find those here as well. So when you click on professional development, you will then see the course search container. There are several containers on this page, but the search container is the first thing that you're going to see. And I think, yeah, we don't have a lot of details here, but you can search by name. You can search by short words, long words, 2 words, and then click search, and it will bring up a list of courses. If it's self-paced, you can start the course. If it's instructor-led, you would register for the section that you want to take. If you scroll on down that page, and we're not showing it live right now, you can actually look for courses aligned to standards there as well.
Is it not on this page? I go too far.
Yeah, it was, no. Go back one.
I was thinking it was on that page, sorry.
Yeah, no, right below on this left-hand side is courses aligned to standards. Expand the plus sign for teacher evaluation standard alignment. And you won't be able to do it here, Donna, but that's where it is. And then you can, again, click on standard 1 or standard element 1A under standard 1, and to find the courses from there as well that are aligned to a standard. There are other search opportunities on that page, but join one of our future webinars and we actually go through a lot of this. We have a webinar called CEUs in my transcript. Please plan on joining that later. All right, next page. All right, so this is the My Courses channel. So once you've done and found a course in professional development, you've started it, where do I find it again? I come over here to My Courses, look in the My Courses container on that page. This page doesn't have one listed, but you would see your title of your course under My Learning Opportunities in the My Courses container. You can do a view all and find additional information on the course description, who made the course, things like that are under the view all. To get to your transcript, you will come to that same My Courses container, click on the My Transcript button. This will show you any courses that you've completed, and it will also give you a link to your certificate there and a link to email your transcript to anybody that requests it. Will be on that page. Up here is the recommended training and required training containers. If your evaluator had recommended or required you to take a course from that previous light bulb moment, they will show up here. It will have the evaluators or the recommender's name under it. So then you can know who to go talk to. Doesn't force you to start the course, but if it's required, I would talk to that principal to find out when they want that completed. Recommended courses, it's just saying, hey, we're recommending a course to you. Those you can actually hide, and that will go through in that other webinar. Anything else on this page? Oh, if a course has a survey attached to it, you do need to complete that survey to get your certificate. You will be awarded your CEUs, but you won't have a link to your certificate until you complete your survey. Next page.
So we do have, we've shared many resources with you today. This is our feedback form. We do ask for your feedback because we always try to get better as we present. So, and this is also if you need CEUs. So if you need CEUs, there's a few extra questions you'll have to answer in order to get your 0.1 CEU general credit, and that will be emailed to you as soon as you fill out this certificate. If you need like I said, credit for this session. Remember that your PSU is the authority on what CEUs you can get. So once you turn in that certificate to them, you will have to talk to them about that.
Okay, so you, yeah, just to let you know that you will be emailed your certificate when you complete your feedback form. The last 2 questions in the feedback form are 3 questions. Do you want a certificate? Yes. Please enter your name and please enter your business email or your email address. And then once you complete the feedback and those last couple of questions, it will send you an email within 15 minutes usually. The body of the email is your certificate. Print that out to turn into your district for approval. It's not automatically approved because it came from DPI. You still have to follow your local approval processes and turn in your certificate to request that the credit type apply.
And the email will come from noreply@qemailserver.com. So don't think that that is spam or don't think that is phishing. That is how the survey will come into you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll come back to this slide in just a minute. So if you need to scan this QR code, you can, but we're going to go ahead to the next slide. If you do want to join our upcoming webinars, I know Cammie's mentioned that a couple of those as we've been meeting. This list at the top will get you to all of the webinars. These are the 2 that we've done today. We did the principal one, and now we've been meeting with you. But if you want to join any of our upcoming webinars, that link is at the top to get to those. And if you have any questions, remember policy questions do go to Jennifer Bass. The information is on, I think, slide 2. Any questions about how to navigate the system would go to me or Cammie.